80% of the world spends their majority of their time in an unresourceful state, whereas the 20% spends their time in a resourceful, uh, more resourceful state. So I also gave you the understanding of four states we experience: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And the key word for our discussions for the last episode was state management, or how to be in a resourceful state. I'm going to continue in this episode. While I'm going to do the power of words, I'm going to emphasize a bit on state as well. So I request you to be conscious of that word state. We also went through the fact that we interact with people and we interact with ourselves, right, on a daily basis. So I also told everybody that is irrespective of which age group we belong to and where we come from, we all go through these three states. The parent state, where our behaviors are more like parents. In the parent state, there are two sides. There is a nurturing parent, as well as the other one is the authoritative parent. Then we have the adult state, which is a more balanced state, and then we have also inside us the kiddish state, which is, so I also emphasize that 80% of the world's population, which is categorized as the ordinary masses, usually experience all these five states, right? Just the states we discussed just now. Now, I also had requested you all to go through. I'm not going to call it assignment. I'm going to call it good work, because this is work which gives you a lot of inputs for your own self. So I had requested you to do this good work at home. Write 3 real life instances of cross transactions, record the conflict, and make a state change. I hope you have experimented this. If not, the best way to do this is to find a buddy in your house, somebody you can work with, and then you can track back and reflect on certain conflicts which have been there, and then you can look at the conflict and say, if you had adapted to being a nurturing parent or an adult, how would you have handled those conflicts in a better way? So that's a quick refresh of the last session, the episode 2. We will be sharing the episode 2 and episode 1. Sorry, episode 1 recording will be shared with all of you. The complete recording of episode 1, either it will be put on the YouTube and sent to you as a link. So you can always go back to the episode 1. I just took you through a very quick, summary. Now, for today's session, this is important. One is, who am I? So we have a choice of being in the 80%, where we continue to, swing between all these states and do not bring in productive control of our life. Or the other option is, we decide to move to the 20%, because this is an identity, as I said. ये अपनी पहचान हो सकती है कि मैं 20% में belong करता हूँ. I would love to lead my life as a 20%er, where these aspects are very important. Number 1, show interest and pay attention through listening. This is how a nurturing parent or an adult would behave. Show interest and pay attention through listening. Ask for information before forming opinions, because generally people form opinions without even verifying. Enable straightforward conversations. Have a life oriented towards solution and outcome. We will go in detail in the next few episodes on these aspects, but today I'll be focusing more on the power of words. Use the 5 why technique. I'll be sharing the 5 why technique with you. Use the broken record technique effectively. And there is something else in the last line which I'll be explaining to you in the slides to come. So once again, the entire endeavor of us being together is to ensure that we all move from being ordinary masses, that is the 80%, to trying to be extraordinary people, where we are in control of our own states. So welcome to episode 2. We're going to go to the first slide of episode 2 now. So as I said, journey of excellence. Journey of excellence is first step is to seek knowledge, because knowledge is power, right? So even if you go back to the Stone Age man, the moment the Stone Age man discovered fire, he had the knowledge of how to create fire, right? So he was already powerful by knowing that there is something called as fire, and it is quite powerful. Having that knowledge itself, he had power. But then, if he used that power or that knowledge to apply in the wrong way, wrong method, he would end up destroying, right? That's what happens to you and us. Uh, if we have knowledge and if we do not use it in the right way, we end up making a disaster out of the knowledge. So, what is wisdom? It is appropriate application of knowledge. The same fire, if it is utilized in the right way, you can have a cooking system at home, you can have a steam engine, you can have a rocket, you can have so many other applications. So, just knowledge is not enough. Converting that to applied, appropriate application is very crucial. So, in this journey of excellence, one of the most important, one of the biggest knowledge and power which the Almighty has given us is words or language itself. So I invite you to moving from these two very cliche questions we all ask each other. The questions are, why am I like this? This is a general question. A lot of people, I engage with a lot of people, and they usually ask themselves, why am I like this? I don't understand why I'm like this. That is one question. I invite you to right away move from that question to the question, how does my mind work? Having a journey or a path which you seek how my mind works is a more powerful state to be in. The second point is, because we interact with people, we always ask this question, why is he or she like this? I don't understand this person. Why did the person act like this, right? So I invite you to move from that question to a question, how does his or her mind work, right? So these two questions are called power questions. These are very crucial questions. These can transform your understanding of people and your own self. So in the journey of excellence, the first step is communication excellence. This is told across the world. So batate hain ke you have to excel in communication, right? In that, there are some important things you need to understand. I don't want to go into the detail right now. I want to get into action right away, right? One is, you have to upgrade your communication to beyond normal listening. So beyond ordinary listening. Second, always communicate to gather higher quality of information. The third thing is, try to see what people actually understand through your communication rather than what you think they understand. Fourth is, what actually people mean rather than what you think they mean. And the last one is, use all the communication to have better control, better decisions, and better outcomes in your life. So, this is the intention of acquiring excellence in communication, which is the first step towards an excellence in your life. I hope I get this, slide clear with you all. So, this is the intention. There is a study about communication which is called the Mehrabian model. There was a Professor Mehrabian from Iran who was a professor at the University of California, and this model was developed in 1967 and has been accepted worldwide as one of the most powerful models. In this model, it shows that in our communication there are three parts. One is words, which is 7%. The impact of words is 7%. The second, the impact of tone, which is 38%. And third, the body language, which happens to be 55% of our communication. So three parts, words are 7%, tone is 38%, body language is 55%. This is accepted. This has been an approved thing and accepted across the world now. But when you see this picture, the moment you see this, what does it show us? It shows that words make a very small part of my communication, right? It sort of shows like that. 7% words is not to undermine the importance of words in communication. Now, I have represented one particular sentence here. I'm just giving you as an example. I am not angry, right? When a person says, I am not angry, it is a sentence or it's made out of one, two, three, four words, right? I am not angry. But imagine the person adds this tone. I'm going to add a tone to this sentence. I am not angry. So the moment I do that, imagine what happens. The words don't mean actually what they are showing. You're actually showing that you're angry, right? Through your tone. And imagine if your body language is like this, and you're saying this word, these sentences. So this whole thing becomes a mismatch. Now, what are we doing? We're actually using the words in a wrong format to communicate to somebody. So the people are not going to look at your words; they are going to look at your tone and your body language. So there's going to be a huge mismatch. Some little more lighter, sentence where if you want to really put somebody down, there are people who use this kind of a sentence in a very smart way. I never said that you are an idiot. So the moment you have said, look at the power of this word, this sentence itself, the word itself. The moment you said, so what are you doing? You're actually negating it, but you have already passed a communication to the person that he is an idiot, right? So there's a lot of power words carry. The moment I say, I never said that you are an idiot. So the moment I said that, I've actually subtly told that person that he is an idiot, right? So the words are very powerful. If we are not able to use, if we do not have the wisdom of using words in the right format, with the right intention, and with the right tonality and body language, we mess it up. So I'm just going to take you through certain simple aspects of the Mehrabian study, which I've represented in the form of a building. Exactly like this building, language has a construct in our conscious and unconscious mind. Language has a construct. Now, in this language or communication, there are three parts, as I said. Words, 7%, though they are very insignificant, they form the foundation of the entire construct. The moment you have to communicate, you have to use words, right? I'm not going to talk so much about the tonality and body language right now. We will take those two aspects later in our later episodes. Today, I'm going to talk more about words because sometimes when people look at Mehrabian study, they say, "Acha, words to important nahi hai, sirf 7% hai, so let's ignore it." So I beg to differ there. I would tell you to look at words first, because if we are able to get excellence in using the right words in the right way, that's the foundation for effective communication, right? So let's move forward. Now I'm just going to do an experiment with you all. I hope you all are completely focused with me. I request you not to do multitasking right now. uh, just focus on this part of the presentation is very crucial. So I'm going to do an experiment with you right now. So I'm going to use a sentence and let's see what happens. Don't imagine a pink donkey. What happened to all of us? The moment I said don't imagine a pink donkey, most of you imagined a pink donkey, correct?
Yes.
Why? Why? The whole sentence was a negation, right? I asked you not to do something, but what happened? You imagined a pink donkey. How fast? How quick? It was in nanoseconds your brain processed the information, right? In nanoseconds, the moment I asked this question, don't imagine a pink donkey, and pop, there's a pink donkey. You've never seen a pink donkey in your life, yet your brain was able to construct a pink donkey, right? Don't imagine a pink donkey smiling. See what happens. Don't imagine a pink donkey smiling, having big ears. Everything which I'm trying to tell you not to do, your brain is doing. Why? Because our brain processes visuals 60,000 times faster than text. The text is an input, or the words are an input. The moment the word is input, there is a picturization which happens in the brain. Brain is so capable and so quick in converting words into pictures, right? So the moment I say don't imagine a pink donkey, it has to convert this entire syntax into pictures, right? So now let's see, let's break this word by word. Does don't have a picture? Absolutely not, right? So what happens to don't? It falls off. So when I say don't imagine a pink donkey, don't falls off because it doesn't have a picture. What is left? Imagine a pink donkey. And that's what the brain does, right? I hope you all are with me.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Superb,
Yeah, we
right?
are.
So you're understanding, हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, what we are
Yes.
doing, we are trying to use words unconsciously. Now I'm giving you a little on the lighter side. I'll give you an example. Father is very upset with the son, a young little son, and the son has done something wrong. So the father is going all out and shouting at the son. So when I'm giving you examples, always relate to these examples in your real life. Okay, that will really help you. So I'm giving you the example of a father scolding a son, and he's going all out and he is shouting at the son, and everything is okay, and the son is taking all the the feedback or the criticism which is coming from the father, and suddenly the mother comes into the room and says, "जो भी करो बच्चे को मत मारो." That's when the kid gets the first slap. Why? What did the father do? The moment the mother said, whatever you're doing, do it, but do not hit the child. The moment she says do not hit the child, the brain processes the image of hitting the child. Correct? So that's how the kid gets whacking, and then the kid says everything was okay till my mother came in. So this is the kind of you know uh, misuse we have of language, right? Let me take you forward to prove you how our brain works with words. Now you can see this word on the screen. I hope everybody can see it. Pentagon, right? The moment pentagon is said, some of the brains will process this, especially if you have just skipped your exams and you've got rid of the geometry, but still some of the figures are still fresh in your mind. The moment I say pentagon, you have this figure in your mind, but some others who have seen this will have this image in their mind, the Pentagon building, right? So a word which is processed in my brain into a picture can be very different from a word which is processed in your brain into a picture. This is what I'm trying to highlight. Where there is miscommunication, because we assume that the other person understands the word exactly as I do, but it may not be the reality, right? So let's take a couple of more examples. The moment I say desert, some of you would be having this in their mind, whereas some others would be having this in their mind. Correct? So the power of words are unleashed when they are used appropriately for the appropriate context. Now let's look at this bat. Of course, but some of them who play cricket will have this in their head, right? I'll give you a story to prove that words have immense power. There was a kid who climbed a tree. The parents were sitting with a guest who was a psychologist in the garden where the kid just ran away and he climbed the tree. The parents suddenly saw the kid climbing up the tree and he had reached one of the branches. Both the parents, parents panic when they see the kid like this. So both the parents panicked and they started running towards the tree and they started shouting, "Don't leave, don't leave, don't leave, don't leave." As they were shouting, the kid left the branch and fell down. Luckily, it was not a very tall tree, so the kid fell down and was unhurt. So the psychologist came up to the parents and said, I think you need to learn something important. So he asked the kid to try climb the tree once again. When the kid and when the psychologist asked the kid to climb the tree, the parents started panicking. He said, "Just calm down, don't worry. Watch what will happen." So he asked the kid to climb the tree. The kid climbed the tree and went to the same branch. When he reached the same branch, the parents were still jittery. The psychologist told the kid, "Hold tight, hold tight." So the kid held tight to the branch and remained there. So the psychologist turned to the parents and said, "It's important for you to to use the appropriate words because the words instantly convert into images. In the first instant, when the parent said, "Don't leave," what happened? The picture of leaving the tree came into the kid's mind and he left the tree because don't doesn't have a picture. In the second case, where the psychologist said, "Hold tight." So that's a very more proactive and positive word. So when you want to have something done by somebody, use appropriate language. Think and use the language. Most of the time, we are always on don't commands. That's why we don't get things done. For example, there's a kid. I'm just giving you examples. You are quite wise enough to understand how you need to implement this. There's a kid walking towards a candle, a burning candle. So if you say, "Don't touch the candle," what would happen? Naturally, the kid is going to touch the candle, right? So instead of that, turn the kid away saying that, "Child, can you get me that pen on the table?" So instead of going towards the candle, the child would move towards the table and pick up the pen. So this is the power of words you and I have. It is our responsibility to use them in the appropriate way, in the right place. Now, coming back to who am I? So before we proceed to the next few slides, I would like to inform you that we will complete the session which I'm leading you right now. We'll complete it by probably the next half an hour, and then we will go in for a 15 minutes of question answers because I would like to interact with you all. I'm sure that there are a lot of things you would like to ask. I would keep the the floor open to people so that you can interact with me. Be open and ask me good questions, whatever. I mean, no question is bad anyways, so you can ask me questions and we can probably have a conversation. So I'm just keeping you warned ahead so that question answers at the end. So now coming back to the important part, coming back to this part where we're talking about who am I, and moving to 20% of the extraordinary, the identity of moving to the 20% people who belong to the extraordinary people of this world. I have listed out a few things. So this intention is something I'm just taking you back to so that I can move forward on the coaching side. The one of the things here is use the 5 why technique, right? Use the 5 why technique. So once you have decided that I am going to move to the 20%, I want to be extraordinary, I do not want to lead an ordinary life, then you have this technique which is called the 5 why. It's exactly like the wipers of your car. You have a car which has heavy potential, that's you, your life. Represent your life as a car, a beautiful branded car, but something holding you back. It could be an unclear screen. Most of us suffer with we're not clear how to go forward. We have a car, we have a highway, we have a life, we have ourselves, immense potential inside us, but we do not know how to go forward. So what do you need to do? A very small thing which is called the wipers on the screen, windscreen. The moment you put on the button, it wipes and makes the screen in front of you clear, which helps you to utilize your car, which is so is filled with immense potential, and choose the right highway forward. So what is this 5 whys basically? So as I said, once in a way, we need to ask certain important questions, but we don't know what questions we need to ask. I'm just taking an example of, for example, your job, your career, right? So always ask 5 questions, 5 times you ask why to the same topic. That's when you start gaining clarity. For example, the first why do I work? For example, you're working in a particular company, job, business. So ask this question, why do I work? You'll get answers. Write down those answers. It may be multiple answers to this question. You may have multiple answers. So write down the answers to this question. Then ask to those answers which you would have got. For example, why do I work? You would have got an answer that I really like this job. I really like this, work which I do. So when you ask, why do I enjoy this job? You'll get a set of answers again, right? And could be possible that So 5 whys. First why, you ask, why do I work, or why do I work here? And then you could probably get a lot of answers. Then one of the answers is, I enjoy doing this job. So then you ask again, why do I enjoy this job? Then you'll get a set of answers. In that, one of the answers could be, I get a good salary here. So then you could ask, why do I need this money or this salary or this income? Then you will get a set of answers again, which probably will lead to a question in which you would have, the money I need to support my family, I need to support the people in my relatives who do not have enough, right? So again, you ask, why must I support them, you know? So as a human being, you will get again a set of answers. In that, probably one answer could be, as a human being, it is our duty to support our family and the people who have lesser than us, right? So you keep asking whys, then you end up to certain more beautiful and more clearer answers, which allow you to set the purpose of your life. This is one of the things, this looks very simple, but this is one of the most important things which extraordinary people do. Before they take up a task, before they take up work, before they take up a project, they always ask a lot of whys. And this 5 why technique is a Japanese norm. People in Japan, when they take up a project, they always ask 5 whys before they move on to what, when, what should I do, when should I do it, where should I do it, who all should I do it with, and how should I achieve that? Before even asking those questions, they clarify their life through 5 whys. One of the most powerful things in your linguistic domain is to ask whys. So I also told about the broken record technique. Extraordinary people have this amazing capability of, if they are convinced about something, they have this amazing capability of sticking on to it, right? I'll give you an example where I use this technique because I wanted to experiment this technique. So my son picked up a jacket from one of the shops, and it was again quite highly priced, and the jacket showed up defects after we after he brought it home. So we went back to return the jacket. So what was my outcome? I needed an outcome from this entire transaction with that shop. So my outcome was, I wanted an exchange. But if I had asked him an exchange, I think he would have, in all probabilities, not accepted it. So my outcome was to get an exchange. But when I went there, I just told him, "Sir, I'm not happy with this jacket. I want a refund." So he started explaining and he started giving his sales talk. I said, "Sir, I want a refund." He started explaining. I said, "Sir, I want a refund." He started explaining again. I said, "Sir, I want a refund." This is called a broken record technique. If you're firm about something, if you believe in something, you don't have to do a lot of explanation. You don't have to do a lot of lectures. Just stick to one sentence, a few words, stick to them until the other person is convinced that you are damn sure about what you want, right? Because you are not sure, other person takes you for a ride always, and then you end up being guilty about having been taken for a ride. So if you want to move into 20%, you better be sure about what you need to stand for. And in linguistic patterns, don't give too much of stories. Just have a broken record technique whenever you stand for something and you want to stand for something. Like Gandhiji, for example, stood for getting the Britishers out. So always he used to talk about only one thing: get out. It was very simple. It's not complicated at all, right? So the first technique was the 5 why technique. These are all power, or you can use the power of words. They're very powerful, but we usually think that they are not powerful, and we usually tend to ignore. The third one, I hope you have somebody around you right now. If you can pick up somebody around you right now and have them seated next to you, this exercise will really help. If you can get somebody quickly from your family, friend, somebody around you, of course, maintain social distancing, sit about 2 meters away from them, have somebody around, and then ask them to narrate a particular task they took up and they failed in that task. Quickly ask them to narrate a task which they took up, right, and they failed in that task. Ask them to narrate something very. It could be as simple as, I wanted to get bank transaction done. I went there to the bank and the person did not allow me to do the transaction. Or it could be as simple as the refund I went for. If you are able to get somebody quickly around you and do this activity, it will really help. Okay, once the person has told you the task and how they failed, tell them that they were silly. Tell them this. You have been very silly. It is such a simple thing. It should have been simply done. What kind of a person are you? So basically start talking to them in terms of giving them some criticism. So your buddy, the person who you're interacting, told you about a task they took up and they failed in that task. Now what are you doing? You're passing comments or criticizing them or trying to tell them, what man, this was such an easy thing. Kya yaar aisa kar diye? So you're using words and it's almost in a critical fashion, right? This is a normal transaction everywhere across the world. When somebody does something and they don't do it properly, this is how we approach them. Kya yaar, itna aasan tha. It was such a simple thing, man. What man, you goofed it up and stuff like that, right? I'm giving you a technique right now which is so powerful, which is so powerful. It can actually transform your communication with people and immediately identify you as a leader. This technique is powerful. Now, what the moment you gave a critical feedback, what happened to the other person, the person you're interacting with? The person would have definitely felt bad, right? The person, though he's strong or she's strong, would have definitely felt a bit demotivated. You and I do this often, almost every day in all our interactions. हम लोग ऐसा ही interact करते हैं, right? So the technique here is, so I'm taking you back again to the exercise. The technique is your partner whom with you interacted right now told that that person took up a task and failed, was not able to do the task in the right way. So to that, whenever you interact with people, do not directly criticize them. Tell them this. This technique is called if I were you technique. This is called if I were you technique. All you have to do is, oh yeah, I understand you did this job. If I were you, I would have done this job like this. So what have you done? You've not criticized the person. You have given the communication. You have not made the person feel bad, but also given an option of how the person could do better. Don't you think it's an amazing tool? If I were you, in your place, if I was there, I would have done it like this. Bol ke chhod dena. So what have you done? You allowed the other person to be empowered. In the first case, when you criticize, what will happen? We don't like force. Human beings don't like force. Don't like being pushed or don't like criticism. So the moment you criticize people, they will reject you. They will not follow. They will not look up to you. They will not interact with you. Whereas if you are able to use this technique, saying whatever you did is fine, but if I were you, I would have done it like this. You have given them an option. You have empowered them to do their job, their task in a much better way. So I've shared 3 techniques with you in the power of words. One is the why, 5 whys. Second is a broken record. And third is if I were you technique. I hope that these are so measurably simple that you can actually start implementing them right now in your lives. 20% of the world's population are called leaders and they're looked up to because they have this amazing capability of using beautiful words whenever they interact with people. Look at the words I just used now. 20% of the people in the world have this amazing capability of using fantastic words and motivating people to be beautiful people and good leaders to win. And they do it in a very flamboyant and a fantastic way. Look at all the words which I used just now. You like it, right? Human beings like good words. Be smart. Start using more of these words. You'll go into the 20% bracket. Why are you confused with words? अच्छे अल्फाज इस्तेमाल करने में क्यों कंजूसी कर रहे हैं आप? करते हैं क्या? The moment somebody asks, how are you? Fine. It's such a sick word, nahin? Fine. Why can't you say amazing? Why can't you say? There was a friend of mine, very elderly gentleman, Mr. Lobo. I remember he was about 70s those years. Whenever I asked him, Mr. Lobo, how are you? He said, Habib, if I were any better, I would have become twins. That means his energy or his enthusiasm is so high that if at all he would, go a little more, he would actually split and become two people. That's the kind of language you need to use. Language is power, my friends. Words are powerful, right? So this is important. 20% of the world's population become leaders because they use appropriate and good language. This is the assignment of good work for you, assignment for you for the next few days. List out common negative words in your conscious, unconscious vocabulary. Repeat and alternate positive word about 50 times and start using it in your language. Kitna simple exercise hai dekho yaar. I can't get simpler than this. Negative word को उठाना है, उसको replace करना है positive word से, उसको 50 बार बोलना है and start using it in your daily vocabulary. Right, I'm done for this session. While I am moving off into the question answer session, I'm showing you what the 80% do. 80% का काम क्या होता है? They break identity. They don't build identities. They use all these words. I don't even want to use these words because sometimes I use and I feel sick about these words, right? If at all you have these kind of words in your vocabulary, it's time for you to change your vocabulary. Thank you so much. I think it was short, it was precise and a quick session. I hope it benefited you. All right, I think we've concluded the time. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for being there. Do come forward and support the social initiatives. This entire presentation is from the United Foundation from Bangalore. We're working on field right now to help the people who are needy, people who are daily wage workers who are suffering. There's a huge requirement. We've been trying to dish out cooked food to the tune of about 5,000 meals a day, and also food packets and ration kits to the needy to about the tune of about 9,000 kits. The dire need exists and it will continue for the next couple of months. Please do spread the message and come forward and support us. Thank you so much and God bless you all.